Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Hey, you getting used to this thing yet?
No, I'm not actually. So it's actually funny. So I did my first Zooms last night. And you guys know I'm pretty animated. I use my hands a lot, and I'm like, what is that? Like I keep catching it in the camera, going like, oh, that's new. So hello, everybody. Give me a wave, a shake, a dance, a nod. Let me know you guys can see me, you can hear me, and
Hey
let's
there.
Let's get into it. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We're going to mute everybody here as they are making their way in. And yeah, I got married over the weekend. How about that? What's up? Mm, so, uh, incredible day, man. I am excited, exhausted all at the same time. We did so much of it ourselves, and it was something that I wanted to do. People asked, why didn't you hire some of that stuff out? And it was because, well, Daphne really wanted it to be something really special and something unique and something we did, from building kind of DIY most of the projects for the wedding to she had a dessert bar with like almost like 40 different desserts, and almost all of them were handmade, to from the macaroons to everything else, which is pretty crazy. But it was one of those things. It was an incredible day. We can't wait to share with the photos and the videos as they come out, and I get a chance for you guys to see it. I can't wait for those of you guys to meet her at boot camp if you haven't had a chance to meet her yet. Trish and Rob, thank you so much for coming and spreading the love at the wedding. But let's get into business. I am excited. I was going to go in a little bit different direction this morning. But I do want to start there, but I don't know why I got pulled to go into a different conversation from a training that I did last night with another group. And so I don't know why I woke up this morning feeling like I need to do it. And hey, Molly, just so you know, your phone keeps muting itself, unmuting, muting, and unmuting, muting, unmuting. It's probably pocket unmuting. I don't know if that's a thing, but I feel like it could be a thing. Uh, so just give you a heads up. But so right now, there's a couple things that are really important. So grab your notes on this. If you don't have something to write on or write with, I'd encourage you to do so. If you are driving, do not take notes. Can take notes later. But a couple things that are really important. Number one is boot camp. If you are not already registered for boot camp, it's coming up here very quickly. We are only a couple of months away from being together in Orlando at boot camp. Obviously, platinums and above, and qualifying for platinum is going to be really important, because that's going to get you into the trainer school that is on Wednesday and Thursday. But the main event, VIP event, starting Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. The training is going to be spectacular. I can't wait for all of us to be there. Boot camp, boot camp, boot camp, boot camp, boot camp. We're going to be playing more videos, doing more promotions. If you're sick and tired of us talking about boot camp already, just wait. It's going to get worse, because we're going to be talking about boot camp every single time we come together, because that is how we build our business, is from event to event to event to event to event. Boot camp is in Orlando, and on the website has all the information if you log into your back office. In fact, why don't we just here do that real quick, so that way nobody is confused as to what they need to do or where they need to go. So if we going over to our Seacret Direct accounts, and we're logging into our back office, okay? And when you get into your back office, if you scroll down to the left-hand side and you go to events, right? There are secret events. There's a secret event. So mark training events. So if you go to, there's a kind of a breakdown of some of the schedule of the events. But if you go to the secret events, it's going to pull up the Forging of Champions, which I'm leaving for Dubai on Monday. For kind of we're staying over there. We have the event, but we're kind of having a mini honeymoon, because Bali's still closed. So we're going to wait to do that until Bali opens for our real honeymoon. And then we have boot camp registered here. So when you click on it, it's going to take you to be able to log in and register. It is in Orlando at the Marriott, and all the details are available. And here are the videos. If you haven't seen the videos of these different events, as well as Journey coming up and the specials that we have going on, discounted prices, registration, hotels, everything that you can find there. So should be good on that. Now, outside of boot camp, we have got the experience packs that are flying off the shelves right now, and our ATM groups that are going incredibly well. But for those of you that are brand new, I know we have so many brand new agents that are just joining the family. I want to say congratulations. I know there's a new team, Kathy, that is literally just deciding, hey, you know what? I'm going to just light a fire in Seacret and just blow this thing up, and is racing through the ranks here with so many new people. And when you're getting started in the business, I have a feeling I was going to really kind of go through the roadmap to Royale today. But I'm Kathy, I will schedule a separate time for your organization to go through that specifically, and as a roadmap to Royale, to make sure you understand the basic levels of the first steps in getting started. I'm going to go in a different direction today, and really talk a little bit about personal growth. And I want to talk about personal development as to one of the things that was really important to me, and really kind of a foundation that I built my understanding of building my business on how to really understand myself better, and also how to be able to build my network really effectively, because our business is made up of people. We're not robots, and people are weird units. How many guys have figured out, like, we're weird? Like, we do weird things, and there's a reason we do them, and sometimes we don't even know and understand. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about, what they call human needs psychology, and some of the things that I studied from Tony Robbins. Now, that being said, I want you to understand, I'm not an expert in this stuff. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I feel like it at sometimes, because when you build a big network marketing team, you kind of feel like a therapist for your organization. You're the mother, the father, the therapist, the school teacher, the leader, the coach. You're kind of a whole lot of things a lot of times. But these were things that really made a big impact in my business in the course of my career, and things that I started learning a long time ago. Now, unfortunately, I lost my mom a couple years ago. Many of you guys know a little bit about that story. My mom had a really challenging childhood, like a really tough one. And I won't go into that right now, but when I was born, she was 24 years old, and she started going to work on herself and going to therapy and classes and workshops and reading and studying and listening. And back then, there was no YouTube, right? So she would actually listen to the Tony Robbins Personal Power. If you guys remember the cassette tapes, where it was a giant row of cassette tapes. Some of you guys can remember those. And there was 2 in each of the fold out sleeves. And I remember because when I was growing up, because she ended up kind of like gifting it to me later on. And I was like, cassettes, what do I do with these? But yeah, what ended up happening was I never really remembered much of it, but I know a lot of those principles were really being instilled in me. And I remember when I got into network marketing 19 years ago, and I went to my first event, and they started talking about personal growth and personal development. I was like, oh yeah, that's the stuff my mom does. I remember thinking that. And I started, they said, read, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich. And then they mentioned Tony Robbins. And I was like, that's right. My mom used to listen to that guy, the big tall guy with the weird suit and the giant teeth. You guys remember? And I remember listening to some of this stuff, and I couldn't really get into it, because if you've never been to his live event, by the way, his live events are really the gem of his work. I believe he was really built for live training. And I remember if you've ever listened to Tony Robbins, where he's just talking in a microphone, I don't know why, like, I don't really like it that much, and he's like, because he's like talking to you, and here's what we're going to do, Genevieve, Kathy, we're going to make this thing happen. And I'm just like, oh, like I don't know why, it just never really got to me. But in 2003, I got a hold of a training CD set from Tony Robbins from a live event. And that, I was like, oh, this is my jam. And it was a totally different posture, delivery technique. And because being in the industry we are in, and doing a lot of live events and live training and live speaking, I really resonated with the way that he was able to deliver and communicate. And the content and the context of the information was huge. And I remember it to this day, the first listen through, and I listened to this training CD set probably religiously for, I don't even know, probably 3 or 4 years. My first live event I went to from Tony Robbins was in 2006. It was a UPW. It's called Unleash the Power Within. It's this like 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend event. It's usually his introductory course. And you can get tickets for about $500 for those events. And I went to it and fell in love with the content so much, I joined his Platinum Partnership Program. And his Platinum Partnership Program is a full year where you get a box in the mail of everything Tony Robbins has ever done. It's a giant Christmas box. And you can attend every event he has for the year front row, and you get 4 private events with a small group of people he calls the ultimate peer group that qualify for this event. And it's trips like Dubai. 2008, I went to Dubai and we staged in the Burj Al Arab. We went to Fiji, went to a few other places, and it's a small group with I was in Dubai with Tony Robbins in 2008 with 50 people. April of 2008, when he brought in everybody and said, sell everything you have. The world is going to end in 8 months. Get out, get out, get out. Sell every piece of real estate you have. So now the reason why, now that cost me $100,000 to do that, which at 25 years old was probably a little over my head, but I figured you know what? I didn't go to college. This is my 4-year college education. I'm collapsing into 1 year. I think I'll probably get maybe more out of this than I would out of a 4-year degree. And I did. And it's a big part of the foundation that built Jesse Macpherson and who I am today. But I don't want to go through that. I want to go through these audios that I went through. Now, if you want these audios, I think I can find them. I swear I have them in an MP3 somewhere. In I got my hard drive somewhere, because I used to collect all these audio trainings and personal development courses. But the reason I want to go through is what he called is human needs psychology, and really want to kind of going back to it. And you might want to jot kind of a couple of these notes down. Human needs psychology of talking about the 6 human needs. It talks about the 6 human needs. Now, the first 4 are what they call the primary needs or the foundational needs. The second 2 are what they call the fulfillment needs. Now, this has nothing to do with your business, but everything to do with your business, because you are a reflection of your business. So no matter where you go, there you are. And our business is about leading people. That's what it is. If you want to earn a big income inside of our business, is leading people. But the first person you're learning to lead is who? Yourself. So learning to lead yourself is one of those important things. And there's a reason why we do everything. So this is an important distinction that helped me, is there's a reason we do everything. Now, whether it's conscious or unconscious, everything we do is to fulfill a need, period. End of conversation. Everything. There's not one thing we do where we go, well, I don't know why I did that. Now, you might not know why you did that, but conscious and subconscious, there's a need on this list that you are filling, because otherwise there's a payoff. There's a payoff for everything you're doing. Now, we meet these needs in different ways: good, bad, negative, neutral, indifferent. There are positive ways to meet our needs. There are negative ways to meet our needs. There are kind of neutral ways to meet our needs, right? And how we value these needs in order of importance drastically changes the way that life is experienced, but also the way that we show up in life, or show up in business, and show up in marriage, show up in relationships, show up, period. Okay. So I'm going to go through them real quickly with you guys and talk to you about how they've made an impact of kind of understanding myself, but more importantly, how they've helped me in building an organization of hundreds of thousands of people all over the world now, and be able to connect and relate in a lot of ways that has helped me dramatically. So need number 1, write this in your notes of the foundational needs. Need number 1 is the need for certainty. The need for certainty. Now, we all have a base level foundation need for certainty. Now, it's a survival instinct. Our brain is not designed for our success. Our brain is not designed for our happiness. Our brain is designed for one thing: this animal instinct of survival. Right? So survival, that we can make it through the day, because if we're not sure what's going to happen, something bad could happen. We could get hurt, and continual damage could equal death. We need to be protected. We need to make sure that we are okay. Right? So a good example, if you're driving right now and you weren't sure the car coming at you was going to stay in its lane, you would not be paying attention to me. Right. So if those of you that are in your home, if you weren't sure the roof above you was going to stay on, you're not paying attention to Jesse at all right now. Right. We need a base level of certainty that we're actually going to be safe. Now, good example of that is, how many of you guys have ever felt uncertain about something? Like a good example, how many of you have kids and they're out somewhere and you don't know where your kid is, and you're like, and they haven't gotten home a certain time, and that uncertainty starts to creep in, right? So there's that. Now, how about you can go from complete happiness, joy, to complete uncertainty in a second. Give me an example. You're at the mall with your child, 3, 4, 5 years old, and all of a sudden you turn around and and you can't find your kid. Boom. How uncertain are you in that moment? The level of uncertainty rockets through the roof. And all of a sudden you could go from joyous, happy, shopping, good, to total freak out, right? So nothing else in the world matters other than getting back to what? Certainty. Where is my child? Right? So when we think about these things, there's this difference between of having a level of certainty that we're going to be okay. Now, inside of the world of network marketing, we would call that a comfort zone. Now, another word for comfort zone, if you write this down, is certainty zone. A certainty zone that we know. We know what's going on. We know when it's going to happen. We know how it's going to happen. We're certain that we're going to be okay. But let me ask you a question. If you knew what was going to happen and when it was going to happen every moment of the day, every single day for the rest of your life, what would you be? Bored out of your mind, right? So God, in her infinite wisdom, came up with a second need. And the second need is the opposite, which is the need for uncertainty or variety. So write this in your need. Need number 2 is the need for uncertainty or variety. So good example. How many of you guys like surprises? How many of you guys like surprises? Bullshit. You like the surprises that you like. The surprises you don't like, you call problems. Right? You're driving down the road, you get a flat tire. Surprise! You're not fired up about that, right? So that is a surprise you're not happy about. You call that a problem. So, but it's some variety. Now, variety is the spice of life. Okay. That's why they say there's no more growth in your comfort zone. You're going to have to get uncomfortable, meaning get out of something you're certain about into something that you're not certain about in order to learn and or grow. So when it comes to uncertainty, this is how we operate. Now, there are lots of ways that we can fill our needs, but if you want to have an extraordinary life, you're going to have to learn how to live in a level of uncertainty consistently. Now, this is something that Tony talked about, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, and you can write this in notes, the quality of my life is the amount of uncertainty I can comfortably live with. The quality of my life is the amount of uncertainty I can comfortably live with. So you can't be in complete uncertainty because then you go into what they call shock zone. You can't function, right? I can't find my kid. You're not effective during that period of time because you have one task, right? If you don't feel like you're going to be safe, if you don't feel like you're going to be okay. So the paradox of this is figuring out how far you can be in uncertainty, but still be certain. Oh, the paradox of life right there. That's pretty good. So how far can you stretch yourself? Because there's no more success in your certainty zone, your comfort zone. So we're going to have to continue to stretch and or grow. So in that, there's lots of different ways, but like a good example of this is how we try to juggle the two. How many of you guys have ever watched a movie you've already seen? Why would you do that? So you've already seen it. Why would you waste your time? And here's the reason why. You're certain that it was good. But you're hoping enough time has went by that you don't remember as much. So there's enough variety in it that you get enjoyment out of it, right? But if you watched a movie, you wouldn't watch it again the next day immediately, unless then you might need to get locked up. But you guys get certainty and uncertainty. So we fluctuate between these two. Now, let me ask you a question. If somebody values certainty as their top need versus variety as their top need, would you guys agree they probably make different decisions in life? Different career choices? Right? So if Rob's number one need is certainty and my number one need is variety, and I'm like, let's go skydiving, Rob's probably like, nope, not doing that. Okay. So we're going to be wanting to do different things. We probably want to go on different vacations. Okay. A good example of that is Macpherson. So many of you guys know Macpherson, my business partner, right? So Macpherson, certainty. Jesse, variety. We are very different when it comes to these two things and in different areas of our life, like polar opposites. A good example, food. Macpherson, certainty about food. The same place, the same food, the same type of food, the same way, the exact same way every single time. For me, I want to shoot myself if I have to eat the same thing every single day at the same place every single day. Here's how crazy it is. Okay. Certainty people would rather go back to a restaurant they're certain is good. I would rather go to a restaurant I've never eaten at because I don't know. It could be something new. Do you guys get the difference? These are difference in choices. Okay. Now you're like, what does this have to do with the business? Trust me, I'll circle, then I'll land. Eventually we'll come back. So, but need number one, certainty, need number two, variety or uncertainty. You guys with me so far? Give me a nod. Yes. Okay. Need number three is the need for significance. The need for significance. How many of us had the need to feel important? All of us. to be special, to be different, to be noticed, to be appreciated, to be seen, to be heard. If you look at it growing up, the popular kids, the in crowd. If you look at today, social media, what is social media today? Being an influencer. It's just an extension of feeling significant, having followers, right? Now, are there lots of ways to be significant? Of course. Can you do this in positive ways or negative ways? Of course. Can you be more significant by having more clothes than anyone else? Yes. Can you be more significant by having more tattoos? Yes. Can you be more significant by having more rings in more places than anybody else? Of course. Can you be more significant by donating more than anybody else? Yeah. Can you be more significant by having there's lots of ways to be significant. Can you be significant by, one of the easiest ways to be significant is just have a really big problem. How many of you guys have figured out that people know if you have a big problem? Oh, you have a problem? Let me tell you about my problem. Let me tell you how big my problem is. I have this big problem. Donna, I have to tell you how important my problem is. It is the biggest problem, right? There are a lot of ways to be significant. You want to be real significant? Go to the hospital. Oh man, you are significant all of a sudden. You don't think people will figure this out consciously or subconsciously? Santa Claus. Whitney is Santa Claus today. Right. So now when it comes to significance, there are positive, negative, neutral ways to be able to meet this. I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but that is number 3. Inside of network marketing, do we draw a lot of people that significance is big on their list? Yeah, because a lot of people have felt insignificant at work or in home or at their job or from school. And network marketing is a place that they can find themselves becoming significant. And why? Look at what we do with recognition. Look at what we do with the stage. Jeez Louise, are you kidding me? Network marketing is weird. I don't know if you guys have figured that out. Like in terms of like, it's like when you become very successful in network marketing, it's like you're like a weird celebrity. It's very strange. Okay. So like it's weird. I'm telling you, like people come up to you and they want to take pictures with you and they want you to sign stuff. You know, like what? Now it's weird to me, but it's so funny because I used to do that too, right? I remember going to my first conventions and watching the people on the stage, and I was in the nosebleed section with 15,000 people going, oh my God, one day if I could just meet them and get their autograph, that would be so cool. And I'm standing in line off because I could just touch the hem of the garment of the top leaders. Maybe it will rub off on me. And I was like that too. Now, some of you guys aren't weird, crazy like that. I know, maybe that was just me, but there is a level of like significant status when you get promoted. I mean, think about the recognition. They come on stage and they play this music and there's, you know, the lights and the cameras and the action. Do you feel significant? And the answer is you better believe it. You do. It's pretty cool stuff. Number 3. Now, the 4th need is the need for connection and or love. The need for connection and or love. Now, most people settle for the crumbs of connection because love is too scary. Most people settle for the crumbs of connection because love is too scary. Now, why? Because love, when you're really opening up and being allowed to, it's kind of like everyone has this little door. They're like, no, I'm open. I'm open. No, I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. I mean, you're like a little open, but like fully open where you have the ability to really be hurt. And what we mean by love is what we mean is real intimacy. Now, I don't mean from a sexual context. I mean intimacy as in like into me, you see. Like you see me and I see you. Like we're connected and I know you. I know your fears. I know your concerns. I know you. Oh man, that's scary crap, right? And so most people settle for connection because love can be too scary. Now, why is this really important? Because the deepest of the 4 primary needs we just went over, the deepest and the most important is love, but it's usually the one that people are the most scared of. Our deepest needs as human beings, our deepest fear, I should say, as human beings is that we're not enough. Our deepest fear is that we're not enough. Not enough. And then what that means is then we won't be loved. And then what does that mean? And then how do we have to be in the world? How do we have to respond in the world? So I found out in order to get love, in order to be loved, I have to be more giving. So now we have a giver. In order to be loved, I make people laugh. Now we've got the comedian. In order to be loved, I have to work really hard because if my dad said that's what I have to do, and that's when so now I'm the hard worker, right? So we put these things on, and we put on these kind of coats and these shells a lot of the times in order to, I don't know that I want to call it a fake facade, but at the same time, a lot of times it's the outward look that we want to present to the world that a lot of times is not always what's on behind it. Now, why is this significant? So if you look at this, the difference between certainty and uncertainty are kind of opposites. You guys kind of see that, right? The difference between significance and love and connection are pretty much a lot of times opposites, right? So because being significant is usually being unique, being different, being special, okay? But connection and love is more similarities. Is connection is being together. It's not differences, it's connectedness, right? So this is why you look at a lot of celebrities that are out there, that go out there, that run after being significant, and then you wonder why they feel so alone. Because they're so important, significant, but there's connection, love, and they have all these people who love them, but they love them for what they do, not who they are, right? A good example of this is Robin Williams. How many of you guys, absolutely, if you think about Robin Williams and the course of his career, like really not just but like loved Robin Williams, right? I mean, Good Morning America, Good Will Hunting, Mrs. Doubtfire, Patch Adams, right? So some of the most amazing, iconic films in their life. And he just exuded this happiness and this joy, right? And he made everybody happy. And here's what's crazy. Here's a guy who went out there, started a TV show, then ended up winning an Emmy, and then said he's going to win an Emmy for not being funny, for what he's known for. And then he does that with Good Will Hunting. Do you guys remember? Right? So the world fell in love with him, and he learned, okay, to be significant in the world and be successful in that world. But the person he couldn't figure out how to love was who? Himself. And he hung himself. Significance, but without love and connection. Crazy stuff, right? So when we look at this, why are these things so important? How we meet these will be dramatically different. If love and connection is my primary need or significance is my primary need, it's going to be totally different. Now, we can meet them in negative, neutral, positive, or negative ways. This is one of the reasons why Tony Robbins says, unless there's a great awakening amongst society, violence will be a part of our culture forever, because you can literally meet these 4 primary needs at a very high level with no education and very little thought process. Okay. Now, why? Good example. If I put a gun to your head, am I significant in your life? On a scale of 1 to 10, how significant am I? 100. All right. Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, are we connected intimately right now? Maybe there's not love, but there's a connection between us right now that is undeniable. Right. So how about certainty? Am I certain that you're going to pay attention to me? Oh, you better believe it, right? Outside of certainty, is there variety? I don't know what's going to happen. We've never been in a situation like this. This could go in all these types of directions. There's this excitement. There's this, nervousness. There's all of this, right, going on. So what Tony says, if you can meet 4 of the 6 needs at a very high, like an 8 or above level on a scale of 1 to 10, you become addicted to that behavior. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? Now, there are good things you become addicted to. Working out, you can get addicted to, and that's a good behavior for you, right? So there's great behaviors. Now, meeting for love and connection, can you get love and connection through a walk through nature, through prayer, through spirituality, through intimacy, through sex, there's so many different ways that you can get love and connection, and finding ways to be able to tap into that. There's tons of ways to find insignificance. There's tons of ways to find a variety, tons of ways to do all kinds of things. So really on the top of my list on these top 4, and we're going to do the last 2 in just a quick second, variety is one of the big things for me. Now, for me, this is one of the reasons why 2020 was really difficult for me. The 2 things I like more than anything in the world is traveling and teaching. And it's not just because traveling, teaching, it's variety. So I'm sitting in my home doing Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, literally getting depressed and depressed and depressed and depressed and depressed. Like I was like, it's not that I didn't want to do Seacret. I just can't I hate this. And why? Because it rocked one of my top significant needs was being pulled, right? It had nothing to do with Seacret. It had nothing to do with you guys. It had nothing to do with, I hate Zoom. I didn't hate Zoom. I love Zoom, right? So it's just, so what did I do? I bought a van. We built a van, and then we started traveling in our van. And all of a sudden, guess what? Lights turned on, and I was good and happy and all over again. And I was still doing the exact same Zooms and the exact same computer and the exact same presentations. I was just doing them in a different location, and all of a sudden life was good. So all I'm figuring out is, what were my primary needs? Now, from these, let me do the last two, and then we're going to order these. The last two are the fulfillment needs. The first four are the primary needs. You're going to meet these needs no matter what. No matter what you do, you're going to meet these needs. The last two are the fulfillment needs, and they are growth and contribution. Growth and contribution. The first four you'll meet and you will survive. If you want fulfillment, this is where you're going to get it from. How many of you guys can see, if you honestly thought about it, that just having a life full of certainty is not a life full of a ton of fulfillment? Would you guys get that? Is that easy? Right? A life just of variety, although you're going to experience a lot of things, isn't a life, just because you watch every movie that's ever come out, doesn't mean that you have a life of fulfillment. You've eaten at all the restaurants. Doesn't mean fulfillment. Just means variety, right? So, by the way, if significance is number one on your list, be prepared for a world of pain. It's not a bad need. It's just when it's number one, it's by far the most destructive, by far. Men and women that their number one need is to be important and significant are the most dangerous in the world. Okay. Love and connection. Having that as a primary is amazing, as long as you can get to love and not settle for connection, right? And then growth and contribution. Growth and contribution. I don't think I need to go too much into these two needs. They make so much sense, and most of you guys have been around this, is if you're not growing, you're dying, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. And so growth is a need that you're meeting to be able to get better. And contribution, the secret to living is giving. Focus, it's kind of like, sad is focusing on self. They say, most of the time when we're having a challenge in our lives, it's because we're focusing on us, not focusing on others. When we get out of our own way and get into somebody else and we're focused on providing service, providing value, then all of a sudden things can change. Now, in these, if you were to take a look at these top 6 needs, I want you to, do your best to order them, not what you think you want to be, but if you were to order yourself into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what is the ones that you value the most? And put it at the top from 1 to 6. Now, you're just guesstimating. And if you want to dive into this a little bit deeper, you can just YouTube Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs or Human Needs Psychology. And he's got some more trainings that go more in depth into this. So you can kind of find it out. But what do you say your top ones are? Now, there aren't any bad ones, but let's go through them again. Number 1, certainty. Number 2 is the need for uncertainty or variety. Number 3, significance. Number 4, love and connection. Number 5, growth. Number 6, contribution. What he says is the number one, the single fastest way to completely radically change your life is to reorder one of the needs that you value most to the top. Change your whole world, which is very difficult to do, because the other thing that Tony says is that the number one drive in most people's life is to remain consistent with who they believe they are or who they believe other people believe they are, which can be even more difficult. So through these 6 human needs, how we meet them, there's so many different ways and we can look at it. But this is one of the reasons why I'm addicted to Seacret. Totally addicted, right? Like just addicted. Addicted. Why? Because he said if you can meet 4 of your 6 needs at an 8 or above, right, then you'll get addicted to that behavior. So let's take a look. The need for certainty. On a scale of 1 to 10, how certain am I about Seacret's products and how well they work? How certain am I about our business model? How certain am I about Isaac and the family and their future and their belief in where they're going in this company? On a scale of 1 to 10, 100, right? Variety. Is there variety? Is there uncertainty in our business? Oh my God, is there enough variety? There's because why? We deal with people all day long and we're weird, right? So like every day there's a new challenge, a new problem, a new thing that we're dealing with. And plus the variety of talking about our business model that's ever changing and evolving and marketing and online and different ways of doing things. And how do we do the presentation and what's the best way to be able to do it? Plus now we have the variety of, we used to do skincare and now we're doing nutrition and now we've added travel and a lifestyle product into our opportunity. Are you kidding me? The amount of variety is endless. Every time I do a presentation in a new city or a new area or a new marketplace, it's different. It's variety, right? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 plus. Number 3, significance. Is there a need for significance in our business? Yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, does it meet my need for being significant? Do I feel significant for what I do with Seacret? Yes. People tell me all the time how much how significant I am in their lives, how important I've been in their lives every day. I get to hear it every day. It's crazy, right? Number 4, love and connection. Is there a community aspect to Seacret of people that we fall in love with, that we work with, that we communicate with, where there's real connection with people, real love with people, real communicate? Yeah. Are you kidding me? On a scale of 1 to 10, 100, right? Is there growth in Seacret? Oh my God. Listen, if you get around Seacret in this community, like if you're scared of growth, it's very difficult to stay around, because it's almost like you're put into an environment where you're forced to grow, whether you want to or not. Right. And then on the flip side of that, contribution. Is there a level of contribution? Yeah. So Seacret meets all 6 of these needs on a very high level for me. It's one of the reasons I'm addicted to it. So, but on the same side of it is anytime now, why is this really significant? So if you feel free, if you want to, I see some of you put it in the chat box what you think yours are, and you're more than welcome to do so if you want to put yours in there from 1 to 6. But it's not required. Look, personal development is personal. It's not group development. This is personal development. Is what is it that we're working on ourselves, and what are we discovering? But a lot of the times, why is this significant? 2 things I'm going to wrap up with this, because it's gone a little bit longer than I anticipated this morning. Okay. But I just wanted you guys to take a look at this concept. Is anytime I have an emotion that pops up inside of me, or I have something that, how many of you guys have ever had an emotion, whether it be anxiety or fear or anger or rage or upset or something that kind of just, it feels like it almost like takes over you, right? So anytime an emotion really comes into me, right, immediately my brain instinctively goes, "Ooh, what just happened?" Right? So my whole body, when this happens, I go, "Whoa, what just happened?" And here's what I thought is, what need just got rocked? Because that's what happened. One of my needs got hit pretty good. And now I'm in full on discovery mode. I'm like, what would have to have happened for me to believe this? Why would I feel so angry towards this person when they said this and or did this, right? What need? Was it my need for certainty? No. Was it significance? Yeah. I just maybe feel like you made me feel that what they said made me feel really small in that moment. That's what it was. So now I guess what? Instead of reacting, I can be responsible in my communication, the ability to respond instead of react and then make the situation worse. How many of you guys have had something happen and then how that you reacted to it made it worse? By show of hands. And if you're not raising your hands, you lie about other things too. We've all done this before, right? So this is one of the ways in how I respond or how I react. Is number 1 is I try to think about, am I perfect at this? God, no. Do I make mistakes? Make them all the time. And especially when you're stressed and you're tired, how many of you guys realize you do things even more when your needs get rocked and you just like, right? Come out. Number 1. Number 2 is from coaching. All of us are becoming coaches of ourselves, and we're all going to become coaches of people. Okay. We're going to become coaches of people as you start building your team. So when somebody in my team comes to me, right, and has a challenge, that's one of the things I'm trying to find out. What need is getting rocked right now? What's missing? Is it they feel insignificant? Is there a need for certainty? By the way, good example. Those that their primary need is the need for certainty, what's happening in shipping right now is making them lose their minds. I'm just letting you guys know. People that are certainty freaks, if we have shipping challenges, boom, those are the people that text me almost every day, because what's happening is their certainty is being rocked. On the flip side of it, those that are variety, not a big deal for them. Not a big deal. So each person is going to have different issues based on what needs they value most in their business. And I'm thinking about this. Now, what I'm trying to do is go very simple of trying to figure out is this, when someone's coming to me, is how can I be present and not make somebody wrong for what they're going through and help them get unstuck and back on the road? Because that's, I think, our job as leaders. People are going to get stuck all the time. How many guys have gotten stuck? Yes. So getting stuck, getting pulled over, pulling off to the side of the road, but it's not a secret thing. It's an us thing. So we need to learn to recalibrate and get ourselves back on the road. And a lot of the times it just has to do with, man, well, I'm missing a need here. Something happened here where I'm missing, and consciously, a lot of times subconsciously, and we don't usually always get it. So when I'm thinking about this process, I'm looking at it for myself. I'm looking at it for my team. I'm looking at it from a leadership standpoint. I'm looking at it from when I'm speaking in front of the room. I'm looking at it from all different types. Now, today I do this really almost subconsciously because this has been 18 years now since I learned this, that it's been a part of kind of something I've pulled out. Now, this does not change personality types, red, greens, blues, yellows, or any of that kind of stuff. It doesn't change kind of those types of trainings. And there are tons of personality trainings out there. I love the Enneagram. I love different things that I've studied. There's the DISC methods. There's all these different things. They're all fantastic. And they're all great tools. This just happened to be one of the tools I learned 18 years ago that was very, very important, that helped me really understand what was important to me. As a 20-year-old kid, when I started listening to this stuff, 21-year-old kid, one of the highest needs on my list was the need for significance. I wanted to be the youngest, the fastest, promoted, this or that. And what I did was I ended up pushing a lot of people away because my need to be important made them feel less important or less significant. Because it's really difficult when both people in the room want to be the most important person in the room. So through that process and understanding these things, I hope that today is maybe a little bit more of a dive into you, a little bit more dive into yourself, a little bit more into understanding, and maybe it will inspire you to decide to really go into this. And we talk about the difference between personal development and professional development, and I believe there is a massive difference. Professional development really more outside skills, personal development more inside skills. And the more that you can learn about why you do it, because there's a reason you do everything. And when we can find out those reasons, because how many guys have ever done something like, why do I do that? When you know, like the self-sabotage and these things, there's a payoff. There's always a payoff, right? There's never not a reason. And when we can kind of dive into those. So for me, my need for variety crept up in 2020. So I was at Zoom at home. So you know where I got my variety? Uber Eats. What else can I order that I've never ordered before? Not a good way to meet my need for variety. But I figured it out, right? So we're going to meet our needs in positive ways, neutral ways, or negative ways, but we will always need our needs. Always meet our needs. And this is something that will happen in your business. It will something happen in your marriage. It'll happen with your kids. It'll happen with the jobs and the careers that you choose, okay? And all these different things. But when you're working with people inside of your business, understand they likely don't have the same need structure or value them in the same order. And when you can really start being there for somebody and not making them wrong, because how many guys are really good at making yourself wrong for everything you do? How many guys are like, you're like the Self-Beaters Anonymous Club, just like, oh yeah, just putting hot coals on myself, right? So since people are already beating themselves up enough, we don't need to be another person doing that. What we need to be is a stand for them and saying what you're going through is what you're going through and it's okay. I'm not here to make you wrong for what you're doing or where you're at. I'm here to help listen and help move you from where you are to moving you in the right direction, getting you unstuck. So I hope there was value in this for you today. I hope there was something for you to learn. Dive more into these concepts and these subjects. I'm actually going to redo this training in the social networking professionals group. I will also be sharing it into the Team Ignition group as well as a training for those that want to dive more into this. If you do want the training CDs that I got 18 years ago from Tony Robbins, let me know. I will find a way to find those CDs and put them in Dropbox so you can download them and listen to them from your phone because even though they were old, man, they're some of the best work I've ever heard from him because not much of Tony's stuff on CD or audio from back then was from live events. And it was one of the only live event CD, it was 8 CDs. I remember it, and I could probably regurgitate a lot of it because I listened to it for 2 years straight. But thank you guys for attending our Wednesday huddle. I will see you on Social Networking Professionals. If you guys are going to pop over there, pop in, tag some people in this training, and we will see you guys next week. But road to Royale, let's get you promoted. Let's get you paid. Let's get you moving through the ranks. Let's make sure that you are following the program. So because you can't just grow yourself and not grow your business, then you will be somebody that they'll look at going, wow, this person is very developed, but they haven't made any money. Not attractive in our business model either. Okay. We need to be doing both. So business activities. So working on us, working on our business, working on us, working on our business. And those are the steps up the ladder of success. Thank you guys. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.